Space Muffins, it's Spacey Sims, and we are here with our whole new Legacy Challenge. Now, I am completely insane because I am doing another Legacy, which is long, and this one is super duper long. Actually, speaking of, let me make sure that I have this on short lifespan because we know how I like to play. We do. Okay, cool. Just want to make sure. So this is the Harry Potter Legacy Challenge. And now what this is not, you know, being Harry Potter or using those characters or anything. It was a challenge made by Chessie Chu. I think I'm pronouncing that right. On the Sims forums. I will link the challenge in the description field. And I was originally going to use aspects of this challenge in my Every Which Way series, but I just really liked the way this one was, and I had so many ideas in my head for different generations of this that I just kind of wanted to do a whole one starting from scratch. So that's what we're doing. So now this is a 10 generation legacy, but there are several points where you have options. For example, one of the generations, you're supposed to have 4 kids. One's supposed to be for each of the Hogwarts houses, say. And then you choose one of them that's your heir, and then you do the legacy, the next generation is based on that house. Or you could do each one, which I want to do. And then there's another one where you have either Durmstrang or Beauxbatons, and that's the generation you do, but I want to do both. So this is going to make it, it's actually going to make it 14 generations. So it's going to be extra long. But we're kind of jumping in the middle of generation one, and what we're actually doing in the way I've set this up is starting in generation two. But let me just read you a little bit about the challenge, just the general first information, and then we'll go through and give you the backstory of our Sims and everything, and then I'll kind of tell you how that ties into generation one and two. So basically, the challenge is okay, it's based off Harry Potter books and films. Um, and as the author says, it's designed for The Sims 4, and I've done my best despite the lack of supernatural elements to the current game. And I really think aside from, like, you obviously don't have magic or anything like that, but the way the challenge is written, it is really good without those elements. So I think they did a really good job with that. It's not 100% accurate with bloodlines and everything, but each generation does embody fun character tropes and things I hope you enjoy, which I think we will. Um, and so with some generations, you have options of who to choose as your heir and which challenge. You can do both or pick between. So that's basically it until we get into generation one. So generation one, actually, I will actually read that before I go into our Sims. Generation 1 is Muggle. The wizards represent all that true Muggle most fears. They are plain outcast and comfortable with being so. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? Or in this case, the wizard or the Muggle? We start with a straight-laced and traditional Muggle founder who doesn't like to think outside the box. When your Muggle becomes a young adult, the story begins. If female, will be a housewife. If male, will enter a tech guru career track. They're supposed to be stereotypical, you see, so their heir can rebel. You live in Willow Creek, you get married and have at least one child, and you must have one extra child from a one-night stand with a randomer, and this child will be your heir. When the heir becomes a young adult, the parents and heir become worst enemies and the heir is thrown out. So I'm kind of working with that for our current generation. So technically, our first generation is Jillian. So this is Jillian House, and this is why it's called House Rules, which kind of tied really nice into the Harry Potter, like, except for house points, your house and everything. So anyway, so Jillian is technically our first generation, but what we're really doing is focusing on the child that she's going to have that would be generation two. That is going to be our main focus, and the story is really going to start with him. She is actually married to Dorian Crowley, who is over here. He's sleeping, so when he wakes up, we'll kind of show you about him. But he's a snob, he's mean, he's materialistic, and he has the fabulously wealthy aspiration. And as you can see, they have quite a bit of money. I'm not starting them off dirt poor or anything because he's a very wealthy, snobby sim. And they have a son, Nathan, who's over here. You can see his room is just filled with tons of stuff and toys and everything. He is lazy and he has the whiz kid aspiration. So he's not going to be the nicest kid. In a way, if you think about it, is going to be similar to like Harry Potter in the way he grew up with Dudley, if you've ever seen the movies or read the books. So basically, Jillian is our founder. So we're technically starting in generation two. We're kind of starting at this point in the middle. So Jillian has always been a loner and a free spirit. She was abandoned at a young age, and she really has no memory of her parents or family. So she meets her husband. Um, she meets Dorian. He's typical money, power obsessed businessman. He's very controlling of her, and she's basically attracted to him because she doesn't want to live in poverty and living like homeless and bouncing around. She's always been in foster care, never really had anybody take care of her. And so the idea of having money and not having to worry about those things was appealing to her. So that's kind of why they got married. So she's quickly molded into the upper snob life, and she has a son, so she's still got that little rebel spirit on the inside. So the marriage gets a little bit rocky, obviously, because she's still this kind of free spirited, slightly hippie-ish on the inside. She basically, at some point, runs away when their son was very young. So she, had been ingrained in the society. She still had that free spirit in her soul, even though she was, trying to I'm going to live more like the upper crust and be extremely snobby and, but she couldn't deny who she was. So that kind of caused their marriage to get rocky. When Nathan was very young, she ran away. And so he doesn't really remember her doing this. He has no clue that this ever happened. So she returns after a bit of time and she's changed. She's kind of more embraced her free spirit again, as you can kind of see. And, Dorian's not really happy with that. He insists on keeping up appearances, though, because he is all about status and he does not want people thinking that he lost his wife. Like, that is something that he can control, his marriage. And in having his wife run away or leave him or, get divorced or whatever, it's just not, that's not controlling the situation. And he's not going to have that. Like, nobody is going to talk about him like that. So, he's insisting on keeping up appearances. So he basically told people she went on a sabbatical, a little vacation. She needed to refresh herself after the baby. And oh, he's so supportive of her and everything. So he really refuses to discuss her time away. And their relationship is kind of formal and estranged. But he still loves her. And obviously, like, they try to keep up appearances. So obviously, because unfortunately you can't have, I didn't work with this save long enough to make her resentful of him or whatever, you know what I mean? So she's basically still in love with him and it's not like anything ever happened between them. So we'll just go with that. Like she's trying to keep up appearances and everything along with him. Um and so, but he's kind of curious like why she kind of returned. So I mean he basically had her tracked down and brought home. um, he did find out that while she was away, while she was on this, sabbatical or whatnot, that she was with someone else, and he was not. No, he can't stand for that. So, she comes home and they continue their marriage, and then, she ends up pregnant again. And, Dorian's kind of suspecting that it's not his, but of course he's going to keep this child and kind of pretend that it is his, whether he knows it or not, because again, it's part of the keeping up appearances. He's not going to be like, oh, yeah, my wife's having someone else's baby. Nope, it's my child. This is my kid. Um, so basically, that's kind of where we're starting out. Jillian is now pregnant with some other man's baby. And that is our heir. So the baby is in the womb, and I did use the MC Command Center to peek because I can't help it now that I have this. So we are having a boy. So I'm quite excited about that. She's going to have a boy. That's kind of what I was thinking. Just because it makes the dynamic really nice that Dorian will have these two sons, one of which isn't his, that he is basically going to treat like crap. So this poor child is going to be in this beautiful mansion of a house and be basically treated like he's garbage. And that actually does tie in really nicely with the Harry Potter um, challenge and everything because it is very similar to, how Harry was treated in his house. I mean, he lived with his aunt and uncle and his cousin, and he was treated like crap. I mean, the child will have a nice room, so he's got this room over here in the corner. But if you notice, he's got some decorations and stuff on the wall, but he's got no toys. And Nathan has got all of these void critters, and he's got extras, but he's not giving any of them to his brother, whatever, because he's going to be basically raised to treat this kid like shit, even though sometimes he might be a little bit nicer to him. I might actually move the Void Critter Station out of his room so that they can play. But this kid that's going to be born, that is our heir, is basically going to, have to work and scavenge for toys, or, we'll have him do little odds and ends of things like, we'll pretend that he's going out there and picking up trash for the neighbors, or, recycling cans, or doing little things like that, odds and ends of little side kind of jobs, lemonade stand, mowing neighbors' lawns, walking their dogs, to get some money so that he can go buy himself toys and void critters and stuff like that. So everything that he is going to have is not going to be handed to him. He'll have decent clothes and everything because obviously Dorian is not going to allow this child to go without, but he's not going to be treated as well. And of course, Dorian is very prominent in society, so no one's going to say anything to him about the fact that, this kid has nothing. They're going to suspect that it's not his child, but nobody's going to say anything to him, and he's not going to do anything. And unfortunately, it's just the way it's going to go. So we're going to be struggling with our poor child here to just survive. So, and that's where we're really going to start it. So technically, Jillian is our first generation, but we're technically starting this as the second generation because right now we have this heir, and as soon as he becomes a child and we can actually play with him, the story's going to be about him and how he grows up in this crappy life and how he betters himself and tries to move on. So basically, the second generation is Muggle-born, and that's mudblood and proud of it. You may have been outcast from your family, but you have found a new world in which you belong. When your Muggle-born becomes a young adult, the story begins. You must have the goofball and or creative traits. We'll move to Oasis Springs, make at least 3 new friends, and have 4 children exactly that would all be sorted into different houses. And that's where you get Ravenclaw, Slytherin, and then they each have a certain trait that you can kind of use with them. And then you basically pick out of those 4 kids, whoever your heir is. Generation 3 would be based on that house. But I want to kind of we're still going to do that. We're still going to have the 4 kids. And then whichever one we choose, that's the house we'll use. And then, so say it's Gryffindor. That would be our Generation 3. But our Generation 4 would then be either Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, or Slytherin. And then 5 would be one of the other 2. And then 6. And then 7 would be where we'd pick up with the games rules of Generation 4. So we're going to kind of throw all of those in there just because I really kind of want to do all of them, and I would love to kind of, do that. Plus, I have traits that I installed specifically for this. There is a content creator, I think it's Brit Pinky Sims. Yeah, Brit Pinky Sims, I think. And if you Google Harry Potter, Sims 4 Harry Potter mod, because you can find, she made custom content like figures and decorative stuff that's Harry Potter based, but also a mod pack that has traits that has so you've got one trait for each one of the houses. There are, what the hell else was in there? There was a couple of other things in there, but I cannot for the life of me remember. But there was club icons. I didn't put that one in because I do have the other pack that has a ton of club icons. You can only have one or the other installed, so I chose to keep the one that I have. And I think there was something else in that mod pack, but I can't remember. But anyway, so those things you can go out and get, which is pretty cool. And I think she's got another part coming. I think she has 3 parts. And we basically, those are the only sets out. So there's custom content, that's just decorative items, and then there's that mod pack that adds gameplay stuff like the traits and everything. And I love custom traits. We know this. It adds more to the game. So I really like those. And those I think will help with, doing that next generation where we have all those kids. But so we're kind of really starting with Generation 2. And what I would like to do, but I'm not really going to stick with this 100%. But since it is a Harry Potter challenge, I thought it'd be kind of cool to throw in some Harry Potter themed names. Obviously, we're not going to have. Oh, that's another thing that the mod pack has. It has a thing that adds so that when it generates random townies, so not everyone that already exists, but anytime your game generates new townies, you have Harry Potter themed surnames So it changes that functionality
Bueno.
of the game. So I put that in there because that's just awesome. They're going to be running around with lots of blacks and potters and stuff like that in the towns. And all of my games, obviously, because it does it for everything. But oh well, it's cool. So they'll spice up some of the names. But I would love to use some Harry Potter theme names. I do love Hermione as a name and whatever, but I kind of don't. I want to stay away from using maybe all of the super common names. Like I don't.
Mhm.
I mean, I guess we can always name a kid Ronald. I just feel like Ron and Harry and Hermione are over kind of done, but like we can name a kid George. You know, um, we could use like Fleur, and we can use like different things like that. Um, I would prefer to have names that are a little more, I want to quote unquote say different, not like, Sue and Bob and Bill. Like, I know those are names that are like the Weasleys, like Bill and, whatever, but um, I don't actually mind using Arthur as a name because I think that's a little more uncommon at this point. But like, I don't want to use like super, super common names. And I don't know if everybody knows this, but I can't use names if I know somebody that has that name. I can't use it, like, because it just weirds me out. Like, I know that a lot of people do Sims and like create people that they know, but I can't do that. I don't know why. It's weird, and I can't name a Sim in a game after someone that I know because I always think of that person then, and then it just becomes awkward to me. So it's not really weird like that. But if you have names that would seem Harry Potter themed, or even if it's not from the Harry Potter books or movies or anything, but it just has that kind of feel to it or anything like that, I guess. So any kind of like maybe even any kind of fantasy kind of names or whatnot, leave them below and I'll keep a list going of different names. So it doesn't have to be Harry Potter theme. Are they going to go woohoo, really? Oh, she's going to go nap. He's gonna go stalk her. Look, he is stalking her. He's like, I am playing nice right now, but I'm kind of ticked because you were having someone else's baby, and I'm just gonna follow you because while I'm home and not working, and what is wrong with his suit? It's is it supposed to look like that? I don't think it's supposed to look like that. He's got something on that's glitching that. Whatevs. It didn't look like that in CAS, but okay. But yeah, so anyway, she is napping because she is tired, and he is just. I tried to make him kind of look as evil as possible. Like, I just wanted him to look kind of like, rich kind of bastard, but he's still cute, don't get me wrong. So he kind of just looks, I don't know. So look at him. He's being all happy. What's he like? He's like, he hit my wife is hot, even though she's sleeping with someone else. And actually, the sim that she was with actually lives in Windenburg. So yeah. So that's kind of like my setup. I set it up by putting them in the house, doing all of that, and then slapping a sim in for her to go have a relationship with. So it's kind of like she ran off to Windenburg and then had this other affair, and then her husband brought her back, and Nathan doesn't really remember. He kind of feels a little bit of the tension, I think, with his parents. So I think that's kind of why he's going to be a little bit of a dick to our heir here. The thing is I have not thought of a name for our heir, and I have a feeling she is going to have this baby. Oh no, she's going to be on her third trimester. So maybe we won't have the baby before this part ends, so you can leave a name suggestion for him. Um because I didn't really come up with one for that. I mean, I literally, when I just started to record, I was like, I don't know if we're having a boy or a girl. I'm really excited that it's a boy this time, though. Just because, like I said, the dynamic will be so much easier for him to be a complete jerk to this other son as opposed to, to a daughter. It would just seem really weird. I think this works a little bit better. But yeah, so leave name suggestions. If she doesn't have the baby before this part ends, I kind of want to like super speed through this because he's just watching TV and she is like sleeping. But at the same time, I don't want. Oh, he doesn't have a job. Oh, crap. I'll fix that. He was supposed to be high up in the business career. Um, he was supposed to have an important job, but I forgot to, when I was setting it up, to cheat him some skills and everything like that for him so that he could get ahead. and have a better job. So I will do that after I'm done recording this. Is just give him that because I totally forgot that he doesn't have a job. But that's his point. He's supposed to have a job. He's going to be a businessman. Uh, so, and as you know, for those of you who've watched any of my series before, I do not play everything 100% by the rules. I feel like the rules for this one are pretty good, and they don't seem to be too difficult to follow. Like some of them is like, make sure you achieve the full aspiration or get to the top of the career, and I'm like, I ain't doing that. Like I'm not doing it. Like I'll work on aspirations, but I play on short lifespan, and I hate trying to make my Sims force themselves to the top of the career. So those are things that I change, or um, things like that. And I don't always do challenges 100%, but I try to use them as pretty fairly good guidelines. But I feel like so far the things that I've read for this one and that I can remember off the top of my head seemed like things that we could pretty much do, there's not too many strict rules. There's not too many like have to get to the top of a career. I mean, yes, there was a guideline for this, like work in the tech career or whatever. So, things like that is like I may or may not do. Like in this case, we had a female heir, so that was fine. If it was a male heir, may have done tech guru career just because, hey, why not? Or whatever, but, So we'll always read before we get to the generations, like what the rules are and everything, and I'll let you know, like, definitely not doing that, or yeah, okay, we're fine. So, but definitely check out the challenge because I think it's actually really good, and we're off to a beautiful start. I mean, even though it's very difficult for me. Are they actually married? I'm pretty sure I made them married. But she's not wearing a ring. It is. Okay. He's not going to be a stay-at-home dad soon. This is, so Reed is her soulmate. Reed is the father of our baby, and he is a sim that I made that I just love. He's so beautiful! So hopefully this baby is gorgeous, just like him. But Reed Gibbs is his name. So we could always name the kid Gibson because it's Reed Gibbs's son. Gibson. We might just go with that if she has the baby in this part, because I don't know. We're not naming him like Reed Jr. Wouldn't that be funny? His name is Reed, and then like he's like Reed Jr. And Dorian's like, oh, that son of a bitch. Like, so let's go follow Nathan. So this is little Nathan. He's kind of dressed like a jerk. He looks like a little punk kid, but he's probably not a bad person, to be honest, but he's going to be a little bit of a jerk. Because he's like, look at all my stuff that I got. I got everything. I mean, he's got like rare void critters and he's got all sorts of toys, and he wouldn't even give any of his extras. Like originally all of this stuff, these extra void critters, this little koala bear, they were all originally in other kids' room, but then I was like, no, other kid's gonna have to work for his stuff to make it sad. This kid, because this kid's not gonna like, he might play with him every now and again, like, hey, come here, I need to kick somebody's butt on void critters so I can go beat up all my friends and stuff, but he wants to eat fruitcake. From liking fruitcake. Well, yeah, there you go. That tells you. Take a nap from being lazy. I can't believe you did your homework. Can you clean that up for me? So he's not, I think, too thrilled. I'm kind of curious to see what happens when the baby's born, if he's going to be all peeved off about it. I almost hope that he's angry about the sibling, because that would just be perfect for his character, but, maybe he'll be happy. Like, hey, cool, I have a brother, and, because, he doesn't really know. Like, right now, he doesn't really know that this baby is not his full sibling. He doesn't have a clue. It's kind of, as he gets older and as he kind of sees the way his father treats this other kid, that, he learns. So he's not going to start out a bad jerk, like douchey kid. He's he learns from his father, So we'll just kind of see how that dynamic works and everything. But, this will be... I'm not sure now if I'm stuck with either Reed or Gibson in my head now, so. Good Lord, this woman. Girl, what is your deal? Why are you constantly passing out? She is like, her life is exhausted. I feel like she's on a lot of like, she's probably taking a lot of Valium and like all sorts of God knows what. She's probably got some kind of weird cocktail going on. If my bird keeps
Mhm.
screaming, I'm gonna throw something at him. Like, I don't know if you can hear him. He's not just like chirping, he's over there screeching, and it's
Mhm.
god awful noise. It's like nails on a chalkboard, but I
Mhm.
might actually make this part a little bit shorter than normal. Normally, obviously, I do I like about 30 minutes, but considering the fact that we are going to be having this baby soon, I don't necessarily want her. What is he doing? If you're gonna hug your mom, get out of your room and do it. Okay. It's like, go, leave your room. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure I want her to have the baby in this part because I don't really know what to name him. So, if you have other name suggestions, provide them. I'll see. Otherwise, it's kind of like, but I will write suggestions down too for names for other generations and stuff like that. So I'll keep a list of the names that we get so that we can kind of go through.
Oh.
So anything that's, I guess Harry Potter theme that's different, aside from like Bob and Susan and Mark and William and Tim, you know, because you know me, I need to name my Sims. Nathan is about as normal as I get because I don't know anyone named Nathan, so I'm okay with that. Um, or anything that's like maybe kind of fantasy or sci-fi. Well, we already have a sci-fi name theme going on, so anything that's like kind of fantasy names or, I mean, basically anything that you can think of that's kind of different, you know. So I will, keep
Toghuber,
track and
Urabawi.
write some down that I like, and we'll use them as we go. Obviously, we're not going to need a ton of them because I'm going to try to keep the kids limited in this just so we don't have a hard time picking heirs.
Ah.
So
Hey.
this guy, this little guy
Utsui.
in there right now is going to have 4 kids. So we're going to have a bunch of names. But yeah.
Lemfi Newlitz. Zappanquar.
But yeah, I
Gorbani.
think we'll stick with
Rabatsi
mostly
Bo.
Harry Potter theme, but
Snabara.
any other kind of like fantasy kind
Nilpa
of names that we can
Brehe.
think of,
Gibaru
you know,
Bennu.
that are kind of
Squash
cool and
Nelster.
different.
Lanji Chila. Plinze Shard.
Um, like
Lemfia
that. So
Zerpa.
yeah.
Lahoin Fabame. Ah.
So yeah. Like I said, anything that's different. I gotta stress this because a lot of people need like they'll be like Ron and Bill, and it's like no, like I can't. I don't even want to use Harry to be honest with you. I don't mind Hermione so much because I don't know anybody named Hermione, but like Ron and Harry are very common, and like and like Fred and George and Bill, maybe you know. But definitely the different names. I mean, we can totally do Draco. We can totally do. Okay, she's totally farting. That's really bad. Things like that. So, Rowena, you know, uh, we're going to have you sleep because you are tired, but things like that. So, yeah. The super odd Harry Potter names. So, um, and especially those that are like in the books that are just characters that are sidely mentioned or something like that that aren't even the main characters. That's cool. Or any other fantasy kind of names. Or just any kind of other kind of different names that you think would fit in the series that, maybe weren't even used. So, like, oh, this would be a totally good name and it totally sounds like it should be in a Harry Potter book or something. That could work. Could you use this, please? Because you are, like, killing me with, like, oh my god, none of them are. I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap this part up here. Yeah, he's gonna bash himself in the head. Yeah, you're not if that little rocket scientist. Anyway, so it's perfect, and especially name suggestions. If you like Reed, if we can name him after his father, or Gibson, or if there's anything else, but like leave everything below. So I hope you guys are going to enjoy this. I will see you next time, and we will meet our true heir. So yeah, remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.